So I know I'm a little late to the party on covering some members of the games, both journalism as well as really industries, Bergfest, after the passing of Total Biscuit. I really never interacted with him in any way. In fact, my knowledge of him is simply that I used to watch him for his video game reviews for a very long time. I know he was near the end there, turned into, I guess, a bit of an SJW, but I don't really care. If you put out good content and I have to just not watch you spurg out on Twitter, I'm probably still going to watch your content. But a lot of people reached out where some programmers, both at EA or like in the Bioware team, were dancing on his grave. This is a man that, regardless of whether or not you liked his content, liked him as a human, continued to deliver content to his fans until the very end of his life, right? This is a man that produced videos, I think, the day of or the day before, at least released them, of his passing. You can't fake that level of dedication. You can't. It's something that it's a pure love for the game, for the sport, for the fandom, for your job. I would be willing to bet that the overwhelming majority of people would have just checked out of doing game reviews or content or casting. But he stayed and produced content to the very end. And to me, that's kind of it. You either have something nice to say or you don't have a take about somebody like that. It doesn't mean just because somebody died that they're above criticism, but it's not, the criticism isn't what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you a look at some people, David Crooks, for example, dancing on his grave. We have Weird. The world just felt a little bit better sometime around an hour and a half ago. That was when they announced his passing. Maybe it was just those new running shoes I got for my run home. Oh, wait, I know it's because Total Biscuit died. Hey, everyone, watch this. I know it's rude to piss on someone's grave, but these axes aren't going to grind themselves. How about the time he was at the center point of not one, but two major games I worked on, dishing out a plethora of shitty criticism that was less than useful and didn't help anyone, and are still some of his most viewed videos. Well, David, if his criticism wasn't valid, do you think they would be his most viewed videos? Do you think the like-dislike ratio would be overwhelmingly in his favor? David Crooks is just another soft individual who thinks all criticism, even harsh criticism, or specifically harsh criticism, is an attack. It's harassment. Or even the little things like obsessing over more graphics to agree that went beyond comical. Sorry, gamers like graphics. Could you be more out of touch? Went beyond comical and just plain uneducated. Yes, Total Biscuit knew nothing about video games. Obviously. Right? Right? Or maybe just the fact that he never addressed his repeatedly toxic fan base. Here we go. With the guilt by association, regressive mentality, content creators are responsible for everything that anyone who watches their videos does. Obviously, we control you. I control all of you. If I control all of you, definitely, let me think about this. I'm sure that all of you are going to definitely don't. I'm asking you not to like this video. Please, I'm telling you, Since I control you all, don't like this video. Which was so abusive and could send independent game developers into hiding because of the abuse. He knowingly wielded and threw around like a whiny child. Look, people make their own decisions, and certainly people after watching this video might have a different opinion about David Crooks. Right? And the fact that he received some criticism around Mass Effect. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not telling you a way to think. What I've noticed is, and here we have Mike Youngbluth, by the way, another senior animator. I'm seeing equal parts people thankful for the spotlight he shined on their games or careers, and people who are happy to have one less person ready and able to point a mob in the direction of their personal life. Citation, please, Mike. Citation, please. Do you have any evidence of where he told people to attack people? And here we go. First of all, Total Biscuit did plenty of wrong. His siding with Gamergate, even though he was aware of how it harassed females. Good God. Hold on a second. Can we talk about something, folks? Why are people still stuck in freaking Gamergate? It's so cringy. So many people have never let it go. It was years ago. It is completely irrelevant today. MoveOn.org. Jesus Christ. These people are like so obsessed with some criticism they got back and still pushing a narrative that literally nobody outside of Twitter gives a shit about. That is so common for people to have these egos about Gamergate. Like, I guarantee guys like Mike walk around on the street, and when somebody doesn't recognize them, they'll be like, bro, you don't recognize me from GG, bro? Remember I had that one tweet that had 1,000 retweets during Gamergate 6 years ago? Remember, bro? It's so fucking dumb. Move on. Okay, and rant. It's obviously what's powering their still strong hate. And these are people who work in the industry, right? These are people, senior animator at Bioware, right? These people are so butthurt that they received criticism from a video game reviewer that they are dancing on his grave. This is the second Bioware adjacent programmer at EA in Montreal, previously Mass Effect. Right? And I love how people put this, opinions are my own, except I'm going to use the fact, I'm going to list every company I've worked for and every game I've ever worked on in front of it. This is so common. They do this shit to get their blue check mark, and then they say, well, actually, I disavow. My company's disavow. I want them to give me a blue check mark, so I'm going to list all this stuff, but I disavow. Right? And let's see what has happened of Mike, who currently still works for Bioware. This other person doesn't work for Bioware anymore. Imagine my shock. Oops, had an issue, an apology. I'm beyond sorry for the offensive comments I made. No, you aren't. You're sorry you got caught. If you got the balls to say it, you better stand by it. Now you just look worse to everybody. I'm sorry about the offensive comments I made about the passing of John, like he knows him, right? Total Biscuit Bane. There is no excuse for my behavior. Speaking out against someone in the way I did is something I will always regret. No, you won't. You think you won. You feel vindicated. My comments are entirely a reflection of me at my worst, and most certainly not a reflection of the views and values of my colleagues at BioWare and EA. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because your companies took a bit of heat? Could it be? First comment. I'm beyond sorry I got caught on the internet and HR told me to make up a fake apology, otherwise they'd take action against me that they already should have terminated me for because I represent a company despite not tweeting from a company account. Fix the tweet for you. This never works. And this is why in the comics industry, they have policies now, DC does specifically, for insane comic artists who, whether they like it or not, are happy to get their blue check mark from Twitter, or they're happy to get all those followers. This is so common in comics. They get all these followers because they draw Spider-Man, and then all they do is spit anti-Trump shit out all day. Or political shit in general. It doesn't have to be about Trump, right? We follow you for video game news. We don't follow you for your political ideology. Nobody does. And these people get huge egos because people follow them because they put that they're a senior animator at Bioware. So people follow them thinking they're going to be talking about Bioware, and instead they just talk about bullshit, right? Yep, this is the high quality Bioware tweets we want to see. Yeah. We have Harrison Pink, senior designer at Diablo and Blizzard Entertainment, retweeting. And while I admit that retweeting isn't always an endorsement, right? It isn't always an endorsement. In this case, it appears to be. Unpopular opinion. Total Biscuit was a repeated defender of Gamergate, a loose organization of pathetic misogynists dedicated to ruining women's lives. Game companies that honor his passing in any way are sending a message to their customers about who matters to them. Retweeted by Harrison G. Pink. Oops. Oops. He was also a registered sex offender. Why does it keep happening? He was convicted in prison for 4 years for producing and distributing CP. What a surprise. What a surprise that Shaneopolis is a fucking piece of shit. Is anyone surprised? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go with, if somebody who's been in prison for CP doesn't like me, doesn't like somebody, I'm going to probably automatically like them. Because why wouldn't I? Here, you know, this person is a freelance games 2D artist. Apparently for hire, he says. I'm going to assume that he's going to remain on the market for a while. And it's really pathetic that, and I don't know if this is a uniquely Gamergate thing, I watched from a distance. I became acquainted with I learned about Total Biscuit because I wanted game reviews, and I watched him for that. And all these years later, these people are so butthurt that they're willing to dance on the grave of a man that gave literally everything he had to the industry. Now, Bioware and EA, do they necessarily have to make any comments? I've seen a comment from Bioware disavowing. No, they don't. It wouldn't be a bad business idea to consider, letting them go, in my opinion. People should have free speech, but clearly you are using the company you work for as a way to prop yourself up, as to use them as your megaphone. It's the only reason anyone gives a shit about you on Twitter or anywhere else. And your actions are going to hurt that company's reputation and perhaps their sales. I'm going to think about buying from BioWare EA. It's just another reason to not buy from EA, in my opinion. It's really sad that people live in this world in their head where Twitter, it's like People like this must not go outside. They must not, hang out with actual people, do their own grocery shopping. There's no way you get this self-invested in fucking Twitter. Go outside and talk to people and tell them about Gamergate on Twitter. Nobody gives a shit. It's over. And you just show how pathetically shallow you are when you're dancing on the grave of Total Biscuit. Pathetic.